I throw myself into the comfortable armchair and face my new psychologist, Jared. Since moving to Melbourne 8 months ago, I've been through 3 therapists already. I'm not sure why I think Jared will be any different. He looks tired and detached, but I'm still a little hopeful.
So, why are you here?
He asks. It's always the same question, and I've always got the same answer.
Help me learn to trust people.
I say, both pleading for and demanding his help at the same time. I know where this request will lead me, to the story of my childhood in war-torn Bosnia, growing up gay in a country where homophobia was and still is rampant, and most of all, the story of my father. Stanisha. Every visit to the psychologist invariably ends up in me talking about my father. But there is never any healing or redemption. Just a dull pain in the gut that comes from dredging up a past that can't ever be changed.
You know, I was the mayor's son.
I tell Jared.
But there wasn't enough time for people to know me by that name because my father quickly grew depressed and filed his resignation.
The details of my father's story are spreading past me like a bullet train. I should slow down to let Jared absorb everything I'm telling him. He's a professional psychologist, I reason with myself. He can keep up. The words are spewing out of me now. I said them so many times before.
First, there was my father's depression. Then his addiction to antidepressants. Then a bout of gambling. His affair. It all ended with a bang.
I conclude, noting my sarcasm.
After that, he was drafted into the army and fought in the Bosnian War for almost 5 years. I hated him so much by that point that I spent the whole time praying for him not to return. And when he did return, he was more broken than ever.
I wonder by this point if Jared is going to follow the same path of every other psychologist and suggest something I just cannot believe in. The idea that my father was the first man I had an affair with. Of course, they're not talking about incest. It's the belief that if your relationship with your father was traumatic, and mine definitely was, then there is a good chance you will struggle with all other men that come after him.
Look, my father wasn't all that bad.
I mutter, trying to avoid taking this well-trodden path into how much he messed me up. Jared isn't so easily fooled, though, and continues to press me for more.
What upsets you the most when you think about him? The fact that he was a pathological liar.
Even I'm surprised by how quickly that answer came. So fast that it has to be truth. Now I've said it. I lower my gaze to my knees in shame over the fact that I was the offspring of a deeply flawed human being.
He had that special gleam in his eyes when he lied.
I continue, my knees shaking as I recall how he lied about everything, from where he spent the night to his later attempted suicide.
We still don't even know if he really wanted to kill himself when he smashed his car into the truck that day, or if it was just an accident.
I say.
He even lied about his own death.
Jared doesn't reply. He's too busy diligently making notes. Just as a seismograph records each movement of the planet during an earthquake, his pen also captures every vibration of my soul.
You fucking bastard!
The WhatsApp message knocks me to my knees.
Yes, I met someone else. There you go, you know now.
I've been seeing Sinisha for 7 months now, and these 2 sentences are the most he has written to me in a long time. Lately, he has hardly bothered to answer my calls. Our sex life is almost non-existent, and I'm lucky if I get 2 or 3 words from him via text. And even though I'm armed with all these warnings, I'm still not prepared for his rejection. The blood rushes to my head. I start pacing around my bedroom, agitated as a tiger in a zoo. I'm losing all control of my emotions, and soon enough I start texting him all the words I never thought I could say to another human, let alone one I saw myself having a future with.
I hate you. I fucking hate you. Do you know what you did to me?
Sinisha is suburbs away and probably fucking someone else right now, but I'm shouting out loud, alone in my bedroom. I check the screen to see if he has replied, apologized, but our exchange of messages is obscured by the giant tears that fall from my face and run down the screen. Later I try to joke about it, telling myself I'm way too dramatic. But my therapist, Jared, isn't that easily amused.
How do you feel about it right now?
He asks calmly.
Of course, well, I'm ashamed of my actions, of course. I don't want to react like this. I mean, I wasn't even in love with him. I barely knew the guy. But his deception hurt me so much that I completely lost control.
Jared understands why.
Do you see the connection, Goran? Every time your father lied, something very bad happened in your life. He lied when he lost your home to feed his gambling habit. He lied to your mom about seeing another woman. Now, whenever you meet a guy who you might end up emotionally attached to, you are desperately trying to understand whether you can trust him. Why? Why? Because lies kill you.
Jared delivers his verdict with clinical precision. He has cut me open, found the rot that has been poisoning me inside, and now I know I must leave.
It makes sense,
I say, rising from the chair.
Everything you say makes perfect sense, but I have to go. I'm on my lunch break. See ya.
I almost run from his office, even though I don't actually need to return to my job for another half an hour. Out on the streets of Melbourne, I stop and watch the trams cross. There is one question that keeps nagging at me about all this. Yes, my father might have made my childhood hell, but will I let him destroy my future too?
Will I?
I'm in the waiting room of an old, grey communist hospital in Bosnia. It has not been painted for probably more than 30 years. My mom, Sister Lana and I are pressed next to one another like pigeons on the roof after a long winter day. We are waiting for the surgeon Nestorovic to come out of the operating room. Dad had a terrifying accident that left his car ripped in half and is currently fighting for his life.
Tell us,
Lana says.
Do you like men or women?
I wonder if she remembers the day on the staircase when she sprung me dressed as a snow queen. I've reassured her countless times that no, I'm not gay, but now, as I'm surrounded by people who, like my father, are fighting for their life, I've had enough of pretending. Life is too short.
Yeah. I like men. So what?
At 36, I've gone through war, moved to countless countries, and survived one heartbreak after another. Yet I never thought I would find the strength to whisper, let alone say these words. My mother and sister look at one another aghast.
I knew it!
They cry, almost scream. All of a sudden, my sexuality is a much bigger problem than my father being on life support.
It's all his fault.
Lana asserts.
Whose fault? Your father's. He was never there when you needed him.
I can't believe she's saying this. Yes, my father is responsible for a lot of the shit in my life, but certainly not for my sexuality. Her idea is so ludicrous that I start to laugh. my thoughts wandering out to the corridor and into the room where Dad's motionless body lies. Dad, I want to say to him, wake up. You can't leave us just like that. Instead, I sit on the edge of his bed and slip his injured hand into mine. Despite being pierced with dozens of needles and tubes, it still looks just like my hand. Long fingers, thin, bony wrist with little hair on the side. I will be honest, I'm pissed, I'm angry. His selfishness gave me another trauma to work on in Jared's practice, but this time something was different. I realized that despite all the pain he has caused me, I still love this old man. Dad, I don't think I ever thought I would say this. I still need you. Yeah. Please stay a little longer. It's all right. I have forgiven you everything. You were not the ideal father, but let's be honest. I'm not the son you dreamed of me to be either. Saying these words felt like closure. Closure with the countless gay men who had entered my life and razed it to the ground. I didn't know this then. Forgiving my father that day was just the first step on a long journey of healing. A journey I'm still on.